face planting in
Dash the Flash
place
says I despise the cross skip.
is making cross skip a fuck ton harder.
Mink says legit lost 5 minutes in my cross skip in the speedrun achievement. Gianna says I guess the cross ate you for breakfast.
Like, I can't predict their movement because sometimes they just face plant and stop flying. And I have no idea why they're doing that. I've never even heard of that being a problem that other people have had.
Tony says hornet cramps in the big 26.
Don't make fun of her, Endo.
Gianna says W women L cramps. Night P says Silksong doing anything to stop you from doing a PB. Mink says can't you Garama to force them to attack and not hover?
No.
Bash the Flash says endocrinology.
Oh. No, the Craws are already attacking. It's not that they're not attacking me, it's that when they go to attack, they face plant into an invisible wall.
Tony says Shaw. Tony says holy moly. Gianna says beautiful.
Yeah, but it was still slow.
Night P says I think that crop problem happened to me on my first playthrough too. It wasn't long ago.
It's gotta be FPS based. Just like the flower elevator skip. I'm guessing it's FPS based. What's my FPS? 800 something.
Bash the Flash says at least 6 or 7. Mink says isn't based on range.
No, it's not based on ranged.
Gianna says ha 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 6 7. Zane says I need to take a break from Silksong for 20 hours.
"20 hours away from Silksong is too long."
Bash the Flash says W 20-hour break, he'll set a timer. Broken Vessel says where's Cornifer?
I don't know.
Mink says what if you hit the floor a couple of times? Would it keep aggro with Craws?
I never lose the aggro with the Craws. They just, sometimes when they try to attack me, they face plant into
Gianna
the wall.
says I think he is Eep.
He told me he wasn't sleeping because he took a 4-hour nap and he's just gonna not sleep tonight.
Broken Vessel says the Craws are genuine pests. Gianna says oh then IDK lol. Mink says craws are weird. Bash the Flash says I wish Cornifer was real. Zane says Silksong is making me go crazy. Gianna says maybe he is connecting with the universe and unlocking the key to immortality.
Cornifer? Nah.
LCL says crazy. Night P says perhaps.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Gianna says he has hidden potential.
13, 14.
Mink says I was crazy once, they locked me in Farloom.
They locked me in Farloom. A haunted Farloom. Crazy? I was crazy once.
Gianna says a haunted Farloom with lace.
A haunted Farloom with craws.
Gianna says and lace made me crazy.
And craws made me crazy.
Bash the Flash says and the Morwing made me crazy. Mink says wonder where the golds will show up.
You know, almost every single run I've done, I've gotten
LCL
a gold
says did
somewhere.
somebody say lace?
What's with that giant? Oh, that was... Ah!
Gianna says gold is on my wrists, brother.
Gold on my neck.
Gianna says got that 24 karat.
It's all on
Broken
the flick
Vessel
of the
says
wrist. Lace.
Bash the Flash says gold on her ring. Zane says man I love when Silksong makes me crazy, don't you love when Silksong makes you crazy?
Get good.
Mink says thinking if I should gamble the safety of Steel Soul with Training Beast Crest. Bash the Flash says y'all ever hear the song Crazy by Gnarls Barkley? Cornifer says he Ryan I am back.
Finally.
Bash the Flash says it's peak, it's my Dung Defender theme song. Cornifer says sorry yeesh.
You missed it. You missed a sub 1 hour run.
Night P says are you taking Cloak World Record route or is their SMT different? Cornifer
No,
says
it's
how
Cloak.
do the runs be? Cornifer says I am sure I did him.
I mean, you can ask my chat. It was like a 59-43, I think.
Bash the Flash says he's literally telling the truth. Cornifer LMAO. Cornifer says chat, did I miss a sub hour?
Yes, you did.
Gianna says Corny, have you successfully unlocked the key to immortality from listening to the universe? Mink says maybe I'll train Beast Crest soon. Zane says man I am so crazy I turned off my fan when it's hot in my house. Cornifer
Crazy?
says damn it.
I was crazy once.
Mink says really? Wasn't Cornifer here for 59 minutes?
No, he was not.
LCL says they locked me in the Citadel.
They locked me in Farloom, a haunted Farloom with craws, and the craws made me crazy.
Cornifer says sorry guys, I know you missed me, cheeky smiley face.
Don't cheeky smiley face me, mister.
LCL says a Citadel filled
W
with
gold.
slabs. LCL says and the slabs made me crazy. Gianna says that's the perfect adjective for corny. Cheeky. Cornifer says cheeky smiley face. Bash the Flash says please don't use that tone with me buddy.
Buddy.
Cornifer says notice how you got a gold
1, 2,
as soon as I got
3,
here.
4, 5, 6,
Broken
7,
Vessel
8,
says Cornifer
9,
is going
10,
to place
11.
traps around the run again, smiley face.
1, 2, 3, 4,
LCL
5,
says lace LACR
6,
lace.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Gianna says W lace. LCL says cutest girl ever by the way.
Thank you.
Broken Vessel says which lace? Bash the Flash says W gold lace. Cornifer says notice how you got another gold as soon as I showed up.
Yeah, 2 golds in a row. All thanks to Corny. Unfortunately, shut your stupid, ugly mouth, Cornifer.
Mink says Cornifer Midas touch all.
You don't say unfortunately.
Cornifer says you're welcome for the golds guys.
You cherish your girlfriend.
Zane says corn on the cob here you gone crazy on Silksong. Bash the Flash says LMAOO. Cornifer says oh wait no I didn't even mean that.
Then why'd you say it?
Zane says I mean have. Bash the Flash says I am telling Red you said unfortunately. Bash the Flash says Ray. Cornifer says I am too eepy guys I didn't even notice. LCL says IKR how could you corny. Cornifer says 'twas a mistake. Cornifer says I didn't mean it damn it.
Gotta be careful with your words, Corny. They matter.
Cornifer says 'twas a mistake. Bash the Flash says Freudian slip it seems. Mink says I barely got the 5 hours achievement, no idea how you guys do it. Cornifer says please have
Screenshot it
mercy
and
Bash.
bookmarked.
Bash the Flash says screenshot it and bookmark.
Clip it, clip it.
Cornifer says why is there so many apples in chat?
Because the Apple Man is here.
Gianna says he meant unfortunately for lace guys duh. Cornifer says I didn't mean it. Cornifer says yes gee that's what I meant. Mink says let's end his career. LCL says clip that GNG. Zane says guys have you gone crazy over Silksong I have.
Oh. Would have been so sexy.
Bash the Flash says, Ryan, I haven't seen a heelless fourth chorus skip in years.
I literally hit one last run. Bash. What are you
Cornifer
talking
says,
about?
God, I feel like such a dipshit now.
Maybe you haven't
Bash
seen
the
one
Flash
because you
says,
haven't been
yeah,
watching.
here's like I said. Zane says, Apple man, give apples, please, I need it.
Hey, thanks for the follow. No name. Oh. Hello.
Cornifer says, we got John Apple in chat here. Bash the Flash says, for the cats. Cornifer says, let's see it. Gianna says, more like Johnny Appleseed. Bash the Flash says, cats honored. LC Ill says, finally. Cornifer says, oh wait, the setup. Mink says, clean craw peak. Cornifer says, cats honored. Zane says, apples man, you have no idea how much I need apples, so please give me apples. Gianna says, Johnny Appleseed is from the city I live in, guys, I am so famous. Cornifer says he did the funny. Mink says, you guys think Sea of Sorrow will affect any content of the any % run?
I highly doubt it.
LC Ill says, when Lace 2.
Race 2's not for a long while. Assuming we even get there.
Bash the Flash says, and by long while he means 40 minutes. Zane says, thank you Apple man, I am no longer crazy. LC Ill says, I wanna see my wife a gibe. LC Ill says again.
I'm not throwing a run.
Mink says, I think
Just
each
'cause of a
HK
death
DLC
ring.
added around 4% plus of completion. Cornifer says, we love Apple man, we all chant in unison. Bash the Flash says, chat, I was so scared for a second but not anymore.
Definitely lost time, but not a ton. 5 seconds.
Gianna says, W Morwing. Mink says 5 seconds.
I
Oh,
use
the
mouse
eternity,
and keyboard.
S. Zane says, guys, I am no longer crazy. LC Ill says, so much Apple.
KBM.
Cornifer says, pineapple apple pen.
I think of PPAP
Gianna says,
more than I
pen,
probably
pineapple
should.
apple pen.
Pen pineapple apple pen.
Night P says, is cloakless world record last Judge Root or Phantom?
It's Phantom, but it's cloakless. So you don't get Drifter's cloak. And that's not how I would want to play this game. Thanks for the follow.
Cornifer says that's what they said, Ryan. Mink says P-Pap could be considered the first brain rot, who knows? Or maybe
Not
Piano
even
Cat.
close.
Reiner MNMM says isn't it also pre-patch for that cloak less root?
Yeah, you have to play on release patch.
The Apple Man says hey apples.
Got nervous there. That was really close to
Cornifer
not
says
making it.
apple, apple, hey apple.
Annoying orange is not funny. I don't understand why anybody thought it was funny.
The Apple Man says hey can I spam apples?
You have been.
Cornifer says it's not. Cornifer says never was. The Apple Man says yes but Marie.
Who's Marie?
Cornifer says ha. Gianna says I never liked annoying orange even as a kid, even thought everyone else did lol. Mink says annoying orange was whack, the real deal was mad. The Apple
Mad
Man
Magazine
says
was
more
good.
but to eat. Cornifer says Midas touch corny theory is confirmed.
W phase.
Cornifer says oh the funny. Gianna says instead I watched Super Mario Logan, which I really should NT of. Cornifer says I saw that. Mink says blessed down dash, lovely. Gianna says asterisk shouldn't have. Zane says if I fall the first skip I will die. By the way, this is a joke. The Apple Man says apple. Cornifer says ah shucks. LC Ill says Apple Man why are you so apple?
Did you know that Shinigami love apples?
Mink says I just know how much fun Team Cherry had with the pipe drop SFX. The Apple Man says because Apki. The Apple Man says
There's a
apple.
mod. There's a mod that
Mink
changes
says
every
gold.
bell noise
The
in the.
Apple Man
No, it's
says
not a
because
gold.
apple.
There's a mod that changes every bell sound to a pipe drop. And fighting Widow, it's just.
The Apple Man says what lol. HENWWYY says my fav Silksong Speedrunner.
Thank you.
Cornifer says there's a lot of bells in this game. Zane says I love that mod. Mink says Widow is so fun hee hee. Not your average sad boy says Death Note reference.
Yeah, you're the only one that really picked up on it, I think.
The Apple Man says apple. HENWWYY says sorry Cornifer.
Cornifer, can you really even call yourself a Silksong speedrunner at this point? When was the last time you did a run? Blah, 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 I'm grounded, blah, blah, blah.
Reiner MNMM says ooh shade.
A retired
Cornifer
one.
says a retired one.
You have to have had a career in order to retire. Ooh!
Zane says Corn go back to Hollow Knight. Cornifer says I've been grounded for like 2 months and I am never getting a UNFROUNGED. LC Ill says hashtag roasted. Cornifer says it's true. Mink says would be cool if Ryan, Alex, Noah and Corny made a PvP on Speedrun versus on any percent hee. Not your average sad boy says unfreund. The Apple Man says apple. Cornifer says Ryan you don't understand what's been going on. HENWWYY says what boss is after Widow.
Last judge.
LCL says badass backflips. Mink says pretty sure there's a mod to allow players to overlap.
There's a mod to let players fight each other. It was really bad last time we tried it, but I also had a really shitty
The Apple
computer.
Man says it's so funny to just hear
And
Apple
I was
in the middle
hosting.
XD. Mink says oh, nice. HENWWYY says what web to use mods.
What web to use
Cornifer
mods?
says I would be back on
Let's
speedrunning
get Gale
if I
Mod
could.
Manager.
LC Ill says Germa.
Sure.
Hollow Knight says hello. The Apple Man says apple. HENWWYY says can you do mods on Nintendo too?
Nope, only PC.
Cornifer says grr. Zane says OMG it's the Hollow Knight. Reiner MNMM says how many hours did it take you to get this good? Mink says I am really not cut for
A lot.
speedrun but I'll try to get better at Skong Combat lol. HENWWYY says is that how you get to last judge?
Yep.
Mink says how many hours you took for the first 100% save file Ryan? The Apple Man says
50
you need
hours.
to jolly break your switch to mod games. HENWWYY says I was trying to figuring it are. LC Ill says pure vessel implies the existence of unpure vessel. LC
Well, there's
Ill says vessel.
lots of unpure vessels. They were all cast into the abyss. It's like you don't even know your lore.
The Apple Man says normally vessel. BTBX Eddie says I have 50 hours on mine but I am at 99% lol. The Apple Man says yeah. LC Ill says that's literally what the game's about I am stupid. Cornifer says there do
What?
be unpure vessels. Mink says pure vessel isn't even pure, literally tainted by loving their dad lol. Zane says I have like 101 hours on mine. Bash the Flash says holy recovery. HENWWYY says is there a bench nearby last judge?
Yes, there is.
Reiner MNMM says how can you concentrate with the text to speech I wouldn't be able to.
I don't know how people concentrate with music going on either.
The Apple Man says thank God some people actually know Hollow Knight lore. Mink says thought Ryan was about to Kirby fall in the void. HENWWYY says first playthrough is lore for me. LC Ill says lace slander cries. Mink says funny how the Silksong lore is easier to follow.
Oh no. I hate being right here. Sometimes the flames are unavoidable. Okay, we got lucky.
HENWWYY says, is that the strategy for Last Judge?
Is that the strategy for Last Judge?
Zane
Yeah,
says,
no
no
hit it.
wait please, I was joking. ASAAHHH. BTBX Eddie says clean boss. Mink says hitless. Ryan Go Ballin. LC Ill says you gotta be somewhat educated on HK lore to understand Skong lore. Reiner MNMM says strategy is get good.
Almost a sub 30.
HENWWYY says, is Beast Fly worth it?
Bruh, somebody ban that guy.
LCL says ban that guy.
Mods! Mods!
Cornifer says Noah wake up. Mink says WTF was that? Cornifer says wakey wakey. Mink says seize them. The Apple Man says who? Not your average sad boy says mod me.
Should make Alex a mod.
Cornifer says get em outta here. Zane says, I am dead. BTBX Eddie says I thought you meant the guy who said is Beast Fly worth it lol.
No.
Cornifer says corny mod when, yoke. The Apple Man says I'm in utter confusion of what's happening. Mink says ban that 1-2, S. LC Ill says lace. HENWWYY says second boss fight. The Apple Man says apple. Cornifer says the Apple Man says apple. Mink says aptly yum. HENWWYY says do you need to fight lace or parkour away? LC Ill says Cornifer says the Apple Man says apple. BTBX Eddie says because it's faster. Mink says both lace fights are mandatory. Cornifer says oh dear. Zane says this Zane's dog speaking Zane is now dead but he will probably come back in.
That's actually not true. Both
Cornifer
lace fights
says
are
lace
not
says
mandatory.
Cornifer says the Apple Man says
Just
apple.
for my run they are.
Reiner MNMM says no Timothy Chalamet skip. HENWWYY says is this boss fight difficult?
Not too bad.
Zane says season 4. Mink says pretty sure lace 2 is mandatory in all runs but lace 1 isn't.
Yep. Lace
Cornifer
2 is
says damn the
mandatory.
midnight hungies are hidden. HENWWYY says the music is NGL peak. Reiner MNMM says you can skip deep docks lace. LC Ill says Hornet are you okay?
I went for a greedy spear.
Cornifer says I'm slightly afraid. Reiner MNMM says I clutched my toes. Mink says heal. Not your average sad boy says I am not afraid. Zane says Zane's dog here, he is coming back in season 4. Cornifer says hey, I'm not afraid anymore.
I'm not afraid to take a stand, to take a stand.
BTBX Eddie says oh the save to heal 2W. HENWWYY says what is? Get.
Get is how you claim channel points in my chat.
HENWWYY says aw thanks. Mink says oh, you can quit out after dancers? Forgot about that.
How nice it would be to not lose HP before this gauntlet. Not because I'm worried about the gauntlet, I'm worried about Trobio. And I don't like to need to take extra time to heal here.
The Apple Man says what do channel points do?
As
Mink
of right
says
now,
score is
not
never
a
working
ton.
for me. Lovely. Let's gamble in the dark.
I'm not sure why score isn't working. It is enabled.
Says, do you just stream on TikTok?
No, I'm on Twitch too. Oh. That was unfortunate.
HENWWYY says is this arena?
Not anymore, it's not.
The Apple Man says alright, I'm gonna try to sleep. Zane says this is Zane, my dog was right, I was coming back. HENWWYY says how late is it? Mink says I wonder how the night would deal in Farloom. The Apple Man says I haven't slept at all tonight.
I mean, there's the night in Farloom mod. I'd say the night does just fine.
The Apple Man says 7:45. Cornifer says sleep? What's that? Mink says hornet wall climb is so funny. HENWWYY says it's 8 in the morning here. BTBX Eddie says should have hit an enemy to heal during the cutscene. Zane says or PM. LC Ill says Trabiu. The Apple Man says anyway, good night guys.
Ah!
Reiner MNMM says let's all backseat this fight. Mink says 3:45 AM here, but I'd say Silksong speedruns are more important than healthy sleep. HENWWYY says can I spam get? HENWWYY says or not.
No, you can only do, you can only claim your
Zane says it's
points
11:45 PM where I live. HENWWYY says okay. Cornifer says it's 2 AM and I'm not even a little bit tired UGHHH.
Oh, I lost so much time on Trobio. I got really bad RNG on him. Again.
Cornifer says summer school is gonna be rough tomorrow AGHH. HENWWYY says when do you do speedruns? The Apple Man says
nights.
Silksong is more important than sleep. The Huge Flea says I am drunk on Flea Brew RN. Night P says I might be the latest here. It's 9:45 in the morning for me. The Apple Man says I no sleep. Zane says I know Apple Man. LC Ill says huge flea a woo. Mink says school? I was a student once. HENWWYY says the bird arena is so annoying I lost 900 rosaries. Zane says I am drunk on oil RN.
Huh?
HENWWYY says is this clawline?
Yeah, it's about to be.
Cornifer says L hesitation.
It wasn't
Mink says,
hesitation.
"Oh,
It
what?"
literally didn't let me dash. Like I was dashing and it just didn't go off.
Cornifer says I blame skill issue.
Yeah, you can blame skill issue once you're faster than me.
HENWWYY says are you gonna get that second jump? Cornifer says stinks of copium. Cornifer says hum. BTBX Eddie says what's your PB Cornifer?
Yeah, corny. Tell my chat what your PB is.
Cornifer says it's not happening to cause my parents hate me cheeky smiley face. Reiner MNMM says you greening all the splits though goat status. Cornifer says 1 hour 10 minutes and 56 seconds. HENWWYY says Cornifer here a follow. Mink says no red timer, W. BTBX Eddie says I am only 24 minutes away from Cornifer.
Oh!
The huge flea says it's the real Sherm but new ACC. Reiner MNMM says bruh. The huge flea says I like huge flea more than Sherma. HENWWYY says ow is grandmother Silk in Act 1.
No, she is not.
Mink says one phantom puff and we're cooked chat. The Apple Man says no. Mink says NVM. HENWWYY says when does the speedrun stop? Zane says and I am the
And a
real Zane
GMS.
from Ninjago. Reiner MNMM says are you getting another needle upgrade for this route?
Nope.
The Apple Man says GMS.
Oh, I had to have lost time there. That was terrible.
HENWWYY says what boss you know gonna do?
Next
Reiner MNMM says oh.
big problem is HHG, then Lace 2, then GMS. But we still have to do the parkour and everything first. But I definitely lost, I lost time here.
BTBX Eddie says I hate HHG SMH. The Apple Man says apple. Cornifer says aim. HENWWYY says I always watch this stream till my friends get online.
Bruh.
BTBX Eddie says BTBX Eddie. The Apple Man says what? Mink says HHG took me almost 2 hours.
Hello?
Mink says this game is full of bugs FR. HENWWYY says shit, my internet is trash, the stream freezes. Mink says you'll risk the skips with only 3 masks. The Apple Man says damn, dies trying to understand what any of this means.
Oh,
HENWWYY says what is this melody?
this is Architect's melody.
Zane says guys, I think I am going crazy again. BTBX Eddie says crazy. Cornifer says crazy. HENWWYY says how.
Phantom
The
of
Apple
the
Man
Opera.
says Phantom of the Opera is a underrated boss.
True.
Mink says crazy. Reiner MNMM says crazy. HENWWYY says how did y'all get 21k likes? Zane says because of a skip.
I've been streaming for a long time.
Mink says ever tried the all bosses category, Ryan?
No, I haven't even done the 100%. I haven't even done the true ending.
Cornifer says Clawmaiden. Mink says true ending, my beloved. HENWWYY says did you do Act 3? If no, when are you gonna do it? Night P says fun fact, Phantom's Ost is called Phantom of the Organ, which is a reference to Phantom of the Opera. Mink says I am starting to appreciate Act 3 a lot more after a few save files.
That's good.
BTBX Eddie says I was clenching for you lol. Cornifer says I love spreading misinformation on the internet. HENWWYY says should I play Silksong now, I beated Widow yesterday. Reiner MNMM says I love LARPing. HENWWYY says does Clawline not use silk? Cornifer says youch. Reiner MNMM says the great lock-in. HENWWYY says by the way little guys is peak. HENWWYY says song. The Apple Man says only one silk. Mink says, can you face tank early waves for more DPS? VTBX Eddie says it uses 1 silk, but if you hit them it gives you 1 silk.
Oh my god, come down. Piece of shit.
HENWWYY says, should I use Silk Spear or that Weaver thing?
Bruh.
Mink says legit never used Silk Shot, maybe I should try. Heard there's 3 versions of it.
That hit me?
Cornifer says, guys, having a 4-hour nap earlier was not a good choice, huh? It's 2 AM and I'm not EP sad face. BTBX Eddie says, you make that look so easy, lol.
I hope that was fast.
Cornifer says, summer school at 7-2 gur. Reiner MNMM says, clutch HHI would have choked. HENWWYY says, why do you play on Chinese?
It's faster.
LCIL says, why'd I just get a calendar birthday notification?
Alright.
Mink says, lace 2 time.
Think I'm gonna mute
Mink says, hee.
TTS.
HENWWYY says, my hands hurt of spamming like. Mink says, good luck. Cornifer says, please do. BTBX Eddie says, good luck. Reiner MNMM says, you got.
La, 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 la,
Not your average sad boy says, 1 heartbeat.
Alright. We don't have enough for a spirit off the bat.
Not your average sad boy says, 1 popular.
Damn it. Don't fall off, don't fall off, don't fall off, don't fall off, don't fall off. Oh, thank God. There was a bug where she could like fall off the edge and then it would take a sec for her to respawn. It would take like 3 seconds and then she'd respawn back in the middle. Alright, let's not make that same stupid mistake that I made last time. I accidentally missed the platform and then I had to wait for all of the platforms to respawn. That was really dumb. Get up. Garama! Okay. Clean GMS, that's all I need. Oh, come on. Don't give me RNG like that. She was one hit the whole time. Wait, did we get it? It's so close. It's so close. She was one hit the whole time. I wasted like almost 10 seconds. I think we got it. Come on, please. Yes! Yeah! Woo! Yeah! 58, 57! Let's fucking go!
Yanko says
Yeah!
GJ.
We're in the
The
fucking
Apple
top
Man says W
100,
in chat.
baby!
Jacob
Top
Massanelli says
100!
GGS. Night P says that's PB.
That is
LCL
PB.
says W Ryan.
I'm gonna print screen here.
Cornifer says top 100.
Grab a screenshot there. Gotta throw that in
Zane
mod
says Shaw.
Discord.
Zane says Shaw.
Zane
Hollow
says
Knight
Shaw.
says congratulations Ryan. Cornifer says YOPPEE. The Apple Man says Apple. Cornifer says I was here.
Shaw.
LCL says top 100 let's go.
What place?
HENWWYY
What place
says
is it
now
actually,
top
though?
90. Mink says is that around 100 hash or 99 hash spot. Zane says Shaw.
That is 86th.
The Apple Man says Apple.
I am now 86th in the world.
Cornifer says notice how it was the very run that I showed up.
Five
Notice all the golds?
places
LCL says Lace.
in front of Fireborn.
HENWWYY says what about Act 2 or 3? Cornifer says corny Midas touch theory confirmed. Reiner MNMM says goated DD.
We are faster than Fireborn.
says is this the end of the game? Mink says amazing. Congrats. The Apple Man says wow 86. Reiner MNMM says oh snap in front of Fireborn.
Yeah, we're faster than Fireborn.
Zane says Shaw. HENWWYY says song is W.
Am I
Mink
first in
says
the
you're
US?
first in the
No.
USA?
No, not even close.
Cornifer says you're the bestest.
Let's see. If I'm 86, I'm ahead of this
Night
person.
P
So
says
there's
congrats.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
HENWWYY
6,
says Shaw.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
The
13,
Apple Man says damn Fireborn.
14, 15, 16, 17.
Mink says Fireborn
I'm
still
in
speedruns?
17th place.
Haven't seen his runs in a while.
I'm in 17th place in the US. 55, 50.
Cornifer
Crazy.
says I am speed.